Well, good evening and welcome to another live feed, which is not so live. We're just using this platform to record this edit, so to speak of. But I was quite keen to get Dave behind the camera. And as we're on lockdown, this is the only way we can do it. So, Dave, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Just enjoying being at home, really.
Yeah.
It's itching to get back to a bit of normality now.
Yeah, well, recording this now, it is Sunday, and we are waiting for that important message from Boris. But it's not looking very promising, is it?
Not at all, no.
Well, I'm quite interested in, getting some sort of perspective out there to the viewers and the customers as well, really. And the first thing I'd like to ask you is where and when was the company established, and how did it all come about?
Well, the main manufacturing business we've actually been running since 1990. It was set up by my dad and my mum, and obviously they ran it for quite a lot of years, obviously until we had a bit of a sad loss with my mum dying in 95. So that sort of knocked the business a little bit, but my dad just powered through and basically brought the business to where it is today, with obviously my help come 2012 when we actually created the brand Castaway Pva.
All right, so it started off as something different to begin with then.
Yeah, well, we've done quite a lot of different things over the years. So we did like horse bandages, but obviously when foot and mouth was about, that pretty much killed the whole entire that side of the business, which was a shame because we did used to do quite a lot with that. And then it was round about, I think it was 2002, when somebody approached my dad and asked if we could design a PVA mesh, which my dad did, and that's still the same mesh that we produce today.
All right. So really, what you're saying is it started off as a bit like a textiles company then.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what the main brunt of our business is.
All right, that's interesting to know. So have you ever done anything like knickers or thongs or anything like that?
We used to manufacture the elastics for them, for knickers and bras and various other bits like that. But again, when China opened the doors, that was when we sort of lost all that side of the business because we just couldn't compete.
Well, I quite like the prospect of PVA thongs that dissolve when they get a bit moist. So, like you've obviously mentioned there, when you stepped into the business to help your dad and things like that, and so what influence have you had on the business, and what sort of obstacles have you overcome? I know you've touched on that briefly.
Yeah. Well, when I came into the business in 2012, I mean, throughout my whole entire teenage years and working life, I've always done bits for my dad, helped him out wherever I can. Obviously, he's helped me out wherever he can. But in 2012, when I actually came part of the business, rather than other companies taking credit for our products, I actually wanted us to get recognised for our own products. And I mean, yeah, it's gone from strength to strength over the years. But when we first set it up, the hardest thing that we'd ever come up against was us being an unknown brand, even though our products have been out on the market nearly 10 years previously as our own brand. It was non-existent. So it was just trying to get people off from the normal products that they use onto ours.
Yeah. And I suppose that's where the power of social media comes into it. Is that kind of where the generation of the team evolved and things like that, getting, testers and stuff like that into the mix?
Yeah, well, basically, with social media, it does make it a hell of a lot easier to physically get the word out there, the product out there, and just basically getting people talking about it. Whereas with the magazines, it's a bit different when you advertise in the magazines, because I mean, we did do quite a lot of advertising in the early days with the magazines. But the only downfall with the magazines is, unless you're physically buying that magazine, you're not going to see the products. And that's where social media comes in, because with social media, you can physically select a group of people who you want to send it to, and they will physically see it. Yes, it costs a little bit of money, but the exposure you get from, I don't know, £100 that you put onto Facebook, that exposure beats any magazine paying £500-600 for a quarter of a page, half a page. And that's the way that we've gone further down the line, is more social media based rather than magazines.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of testament to the way things have gone recently. I mean, I'll also say as well, I've been with the company just over 7 years now, and in that 7 years that I've been with the company, you know, I've seen a huge change. I've watched the company, you know, start off quite small. I mean, the company is still relatively small, as in it's the family business run by you, only you now, isn't it, Dave?
Yes,
But
yeah, it is.
I know you've got people that work for you and things like that, and with the help of, you know, the team, so to speak. So I guess the next thing to move on to then is the products themselves. I mean, did it? I know you mentioned about the web system and stuff like that. That was originally what you started with, but how did it progress on to other things? Did you just source them to begin with, or have you had to develop them over the years? Or
Some products we've developed over the years, like the PVA tape, which we produced 2 different sizes. The 3mm, which is the original one that we did, and then it was about 18 months ago we thought, you know what, rather than just doing the 3mm, we'll create a wider one, which we've done the 10mm one now. And again, trying to get people to use the 10mm was just basically getting people off the normal, because the normal PVA tape that people use is the film, but ours is actually like this. I'll actually go and get some. One sec. So our PVA tape is kind of like this. So it's more of a knitted one rather than a film, which gives you a bit more strength in the actual product while not altering the breakdown time, which with all of our products, we do pride ourselves on how strong our products are.
yeah, I mean, I can vouch for that as well. I mean, the tape there that you've got, I mean, as you mentioned, it's not like a tape, so to speak, of it actually feels like fabric, doesn't it?
Yes, it
although
does, yeah.
Although it does dissolve, and I think that's a big edge, especially when you're fishing things like stringers. You know, you can glug your PVA tape up, so to speak, and get that out there as well with your free offerings. It is very different to everything else that's out on the market. So would you say that's probably been like one of the biggest changes to the brand, you know, to the products that you've brought to the table? Or
probably the biggest game changer that we brought to the table has got to be the PVA cable ties.
The cable ties.
The cable ties, yeah. I mean, they are an amazing product. And it's not just the amount of uses you can have for them. It's not just for carp fishing. I mean, if you do a lot of pike fishing and you don't want to use bait elastic, because the problem with the bait elastic is when you're wrapping it round and stretching it, it's actually digging into the fish. So if you're using like a soft fish, you don't want it because it will just cut straight through it. Whereas with a PVA cable tie, you can just attach it round the tail when you've hooked it on when you've got it on your lure, around the tail, just to secure it in place, and then cast it out. And obviously the cable tie breaks apart, leaving everything all in one area like it should. Same with solid bags. I mean, one of the tips that one of the lads told me about was using it instead of putting a tail rubber on. So if you want to drop your lead, stick a nice PVA cable tie around it, and away you go. So you know that when you get a take, that lead is coming off straight away with no lead clip on, like with no tail rubber on there.
Yeah, I guess you know. I think that's the beauty of the teams and that you have got in place, and I think it's worth mentioning as well that it's not just the UK team you've got now, is it? You've got teams all over the place, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got teams in the Benelux, which is obviously Belgium, Holland, like Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. We've got a French team, we've got a Spanish team, we've got an Italian team, we've got a German and Austrian team, and we've got a Hungarian team.
Yeah. And I'm guessing they help with the distribution as well over there, don't they?
Yes, they do, yeah. Especially the Hungarian team, yeah. They're part of the distributor, they are. Whereas the other teams, they're all independent teams. So even though they do use one of the retailers in that country to actually get the products from at a discounted rate, what we supply, rather than them ordering direct from us. They just go to their local retailer, who I've got the agreement with, and it just helps reduce their costs, because one of the biggest costs is postage.
Yeah, definitely.
And because we send everything overseas by courier, it just makes it a bit easier for them, because a lot of my distributors will actually give them free postage, so they're saving money on the products as well as saving money on the postage, which again, when somebody's out fishing quite regularly, it helps out quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in the 7 years since I've been with the company, I've seen quite a lot of changes. I mean, you've sort of like, when I first come a part of the team, you were sort of originally, stocking in just tackle shops, small tackle shops, and relying on word of mouth, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then it sort of progressed into developing the website, which it is today, which is really good. And you rely on that a lot, don't you, for orders coming in?
It just helps for people who can't physically get to our retailers that we have in the UK. It just helps them out, because it means that they can still get the products at retail price, direct from us. That's only if they can't get it from the local retailer. And we always try and push for people to go to the retailers, because obviously you want to support your tackle shops, because sadly, without customers, tackle shops ain't going to be here. And without tackle shops, you're not going to be able to get the local knowledge of the local area.
Yeah, I mean, we'll touch on that in a bit more detail before we finish, I think, because obviously things have changed now as opposed to what there was then.
Yeah.
But I'm quite interested to know, and I'm sure others will, is how much effect is doing the shows? What's that done for the company, and when did you start doing the shows? The carp shows and that. I know that you travel all over now, and you do a hell of a lot of shows, and you rely a lot on that. Obviously to promote the company, but not only that, you've actually become, how can I put it, you actually need that income from the shows now, don't you?
Yeah, well, the problem with the angling industry is, come normally March to October is that's what we call the fishing season in the trade. Basically those 6-7 months where everyone is fishing, but then come October, November, this is where the fair weather anglers disappear and just the hardcore ones carry on going. But sadly, the hardcore anglers, there's not enough of them to keep the business going, which is the reason why, one, we do the shows, but two, is also to promote the business even more. So if you've got 10,000 people coming to a show over the course of the weekend, it's a good way of hitting that many people in 2 days to physically see the bits. And that's the reason why I've always done them. I started doing the shows in 2013. That was when I did my first ever show, which was at the big one at Farnborough. It was.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just progressed, where each year I just kept adding different shows to do. And then I think it was it 20? I think it was 2015 or 2015 was when I did my first European show. And that was Carp Zawal. It was. And ever since then, I've gone back every single year, just because I enjoy doing these European shows, because I get to see my friends that I've made over the years, my team anglers, and I get to see all of the different gear that you never even get to see in the UK.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning as well, obviously, because I know you on a personal level, and we know, because we're sort of in the trade, so to speak, of that it costs a hell of a lot of money to do these shows initially, for the pitch, for the stand, things like that. And not only that, the work that you've had to put into to create the stand, so to speak, of. And I'm guessing that must have been a hell of a gamble to begin with. I mean,
yeah, doing the shows, it is a gamble. I mean, I have made a few bad decisions over the years where obviously I've gone and done a show and they've not gone as well as what I'd hoped they would have. But the way I see it is, yes, it cost me £2,000 to do a show, but it's the exposure that really gets the name out there, because obviously the more people you can see, the better it's going to be for your brand. And just generally, they are stressful, the shows, because it's not just the show, because we actually manufacture everything ourselves. It's the whole prep, getting ready for them. So obviously I know we're in lockdown at the moment, but normally come July, that's when we actually start prepping for the shows. Because we do on average between 10 and 12 a year, it's one of those that we have them on consecutive weeks. So I have to make sure that I've got enough products made up so I can do 4 shows in a row. But whereas sometimes you do misjudge it and you don't get as many products at the other shows because you've sold so many at the shows before. So you sort of have to balance it out. But generally, obviously now I've done it for so long now, you can rough guess by which show you will do what products. So you always make sure that you've got plenty of products for those.
So I'm guessing that comes with experience of doing them then.
yeah, basic experience and trial and error as well.
Well, it is something. I mean, a lot of people, they say once you get into the trade, it kills the passion, that type of thing. And it just kind of seemed like it's a bit of a love-hate relationship going on there. But, let's have it from you. Is it a good or is it bad? What's your actual feeling on it? Does it kill it? Do you love it?
I find that the more years that I spend in this industry, the less and less I get to go fishing. I mean, obviously last year I focused on the rivers more. So I was fishing the River Trent, but because of all the floods and work commitments, I went in October. Then I went again New Year's Eve, and then I was supposed to go on my birthday this year, going to meet up with Christian, but sadly the coronavirus has killed that. So I haven't even actually been out yet at all this year. So, and because end of October through till end of March, I'm busy with shows anyway. So when I'm not doing the shows, I try and spend some time with the family, because when you've got show after show after show in the UK, out the UK, back in the UK and back out the UK, your family life does really, really suffer. It does. As a lot of guys that I know who do the shows, it's the same for them. It does cause a lot of strain, because you're focusing more, obviously, on your business than you are family life.
Yeah, well, I suppose that just goes to show just what you put into the company. There's not many small companies out there that make it these days. And the fact that you are, and the fact that you've got the support of the customers, it just goes to show just how good the products are. It's not just the social media and things like that. Obviously, the products do a lot of the talking for you, don't they?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of word of mouth orders come through. And generally, they send us an email saying, oh, a mate of mine passed me some of your products. Never used them before. I've always used the main brands. So obviously, as you know, Corda, Fox, ESP are the probably main 3 brands that people use in the UK. And people can't believe how strong, but yet how easy they break down compared to what they used to.
Yeah. I mean, well, seeing as we're sort of going towards a product kind of thing now, I mean, here's a question for you. How much webbing can you make in an hour, say? How many meters?
On the machines that we've got, we can probably... It's got to be near 550 meters an hour, I think we're producing.
That's mega. That is mega.
Obviously, I'd like to produce more, but it's just having the machines. And the thing that we've got is all of our machines are bespoke to us. They are. So you can't just go to a shop and just buy these machines off the shelf. We have physically had them made. I mean, I even make my own machines. Like 2 of the newest machines that we've got, I actually built most of that myself.
Yeah, I obviously I know that, but for the people watching, before we started recording this, I was trying to get Dave, to get a couple of pictures of the machines and stuff like that, and he was having none of it. So it's like top secret.
That's the one. You have to keep some cards close to your chest. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
but yeah, as I say, I mean, I don't mind showing the products coming off the machines. I mean, sometimes I just stand there mesmerized just by how the machines actually work. Took me a couple of years to learn how to use the machines properly, and basically repair them as well, because sadly in this industry you do get a lot of breakages and downtime.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's
Was
been a learning curve.
was that passed on from your dad then?
It was. I mean, my dad, he basically came into this like not the fishing industry, but the textile industry when he was 15 years old, and he finally left it when he was 74.
74.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose there's something else that's worth mentioning as well. I mean, originally where Castaway is now is not where it started, is it? You
No.
actually moved the business closer to your home when you took over, didn't you?
Yeah. So the plan was always that the business was going to relocate. But I mean, for years the business was based in Colville, Leicestershire, just in two-story unit. It wasn't massive, because you don't need a massive area for the machines, because the machines they're not small, but they're not too large that you need a ridiculous amount of space. And for about, what was it? I think it was 2017 when we relocated just outside of Sheffield, and to go from, I think it was a 900 square foot unit to 1100 square foot unit, which is what we've got now. It just makes it so much difference. And also my travel time as well. I was probably spending near 3 hours a day traveling to and from work. Whereas now I can get here in, it's about 9-10 minutes physically from my house. So that makes a massive difference. But then what I find now is I find myself nipping down to the unit quite a lot more, doing bits and bobs, because I live so close.
Yeah. So where is it actually based now?
We're based Duckmington, which is
Near
about,
Sheffield.
yeah, it's just on the I say just on the outskirts. It's about 7 mile away from Sheffield now, so it's not
Ah.
too bad. But we have got really good links, so we are smack bang next to the M1.
Well, before we start wrapping things up, I mean, I don't want to keep this going on for too long. I was more interested in, sort of getting a bit of a background of the business and where it started to where it's come to today. But I suppose a couple of things worth asking is, what's the best-selling product?
The best selling product, I would probably say the 35mm mesh, but then
Yeah,
the PVA cable ties and solid bags are very close behind. I mean, in a week, we probably sell probably similar 35mm mesh, whether it's the 7 meter refills, the 7 meter systems, or the 25 meter refills. And then, as I say, with the cable ties, they sell quite well individually, as well as with the solid bags as well.
yeah.
So yeah, it's quite tight between those. But every time we've done like a survey on Facebook, PVA mesh has always come out on top.
Yeah. So is there a product in the range which means something to you or that you're like most proud of, for example?
The products that we're most proud of. I mean, my dad designed most of the products that we produce. The 10 mil was what I actually helped my dad design that one. And I mean, we have got other products that we've designed, but we never actually got them into production because there was no call for them. So we actually developed a slow melting PVA mesh. Quite a few years, like I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, we designed that one. But because there was never a call for it, I never actually got it into production. I mean, it is something that I would quite like to maybe start looking into. But yeah, it's just as and when we get a call for it, really.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll finish off on then how can people order and things like that. And have you got a UK distributor or anything like that?
Yeah, we've got a UK distributor that started last year with Cop.mil. Everyone should probably recognise that name for the animal feed and pellets. And we do have a lot of retailers throughout the UK. I can't list which ones they are because I haven't got the full list. So I think you can get the products on eBay as well. You can get them direct from us off our website. And I'm trying to think who else we go through. I think that might be it, you know. So UK retailers, eBay, and direct from us on the Castaway website.
Right. Well, I suppose people that watching this, they'll be thinking, and where can I go for the best deal?
The shows.
The shows. Yeah, without doubt. I knew you were going to say
shows.
that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've worked some of the shows with you, and I've seen some of the deals that you put on there, and they are brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to leave it there. Obviously, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're a busy man with obviously a new child, things like that. But
yeah,
I'd like to thank you, and thanks for taking the time, Dave. It's been really good having an insight into the business.
Yeah, no problem. Enjoyed it.
You know, take it from me and the team. You know, we wish you all the best, and we're here for you. So yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
I guess we'll leave it there, mate.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day.